Good afternoon, everybody. My name is James Gray. I serve as the Sports and Recreation Management Program Director here at Marian University. And for this session this afternoon, I also have the privilege to serve as your moderator as well as timekeeper. This event is scheduled to conclude at about 3:50 p.m. Now, wherever we may be, I'm going to have to respectfully stop at 3:50 because I'm respectful of everybody's time, other obligations outside this particular program. But even though we stop at 3:50, if you would like to continue the conversation, you can stay here for as long as you like. So, without any further ado, because time is of the essence, what I'm going to do is introduce all the members of the panel to my immediate left, your right, and then once I introduce the last member of the panel, then we'll have some commentary testimonials with respect to this subject matter. So let me commence with the brief introductions. Miranda Abitz is a kidney donor. Miranda earned her Bachelor's of Arts from Marian University in 2008. She currently serves as Coordinator of Student Success here at Marian University. She had donated her kidney to a stranger after the crazy idea hit her like a spark during an academic symposium session. Are you? Wait, come on. Is that for real?
It is for real.
The Lord works in mysterious ways. During an academic symposium session like this one back in 2019. Having served in the Wisconsin Army National Guard for 4 years, service and giving back have always been very important to Miranda. She felt like it was a calling to be a living kidney donor. She donated her kidney, Betty the Bean, to a then stranger in November 2019 and at UW Health in Madison. Since then, Travis, Miranda's recipient, have connected, and it has been one of the most amazing experiences in Miranda's life. She's currently an associate member of the board of directors for Donate Life Wisconsin. Please join me in sharing with Miranda a warm Marian welcome. Now, Michelle, if I mispronounce your surname, forgive me, you just help me out. Michelle Lesher?
Correct.
I'm gonna get a lottery ticket, I'm feeling lucky. She's part of a recipient family and is a 1994 graduate of Marian's Bachelor of Business Administration degree program, currently employed as a vice president and a commercial lender at American Bank of Beaver Dam. Her son Eric Warnke, 2022 graduate of Marian's Bachelor's of Business Administration degree program, was diagnosed with end-stage kidney failure in December of 2021. He had received a kidney transplant on June 1st of 2023. And this is a message from Eric, and he shares as follows. On November 29th, 2021, I received a phone call that changed my life. During that call, I learned that my kidneys were failing. 1 week later, I would learn that without a kidney transplant, I could die. Flashback to June of 2020, I decided to join the military reserves. I've always wanted to fly airplanes, and the reserves felt like the best opportunity to do that. I passed every test except for the labs. I had them retested a few times, all with the same results. Denied due to elevated blood pressure and proteinuria. Please join me in welcoming Michelle to Marian University. Welcome back. Nicole Baratz, Paul's kidney recipient. Nicole Baratz is a 2018 kidney recipient and proud advocate of being an organ donor. She received her kidney from a past client of hers through a plea on Facebook. Her angel donor, Paul Osterholm, is sitting with us today as well. One of 8 girls that grew up on a mink ranch in Eden, Wisconsin. With a near-death experience herself today, she is an advocate of taking charge of her health and healthcare decisions. She volunteers with her living donor, Paul Osterholm Sr., providing awareness of organ donation and encouraging others to become organ donors in order to save a life. Nicole, it's good to see you back on campus. Please join me in welcoming back Nicole. Next is Paul Osterholm Sr. He has 2 degrees, one earned in 2002, and then came back for more and earned another in 2005. Donated bone marrow 2003 and kidney in 2018. Paul donated his kidney to Nicole Bratz on October 10th, 2018 at UW-Madison Health Transplant Center. Paul grew up, am I pronouncing this right? Waukon?
Yes.
Waukon, Iowa. He and his wife Janet have been married for 37 years. Is Janet here today? God bless her. 37 years for Paul Osterholm. And he is founder of the Facebook page entitled Share Your Spare Fond du Lac. Please join me in providing a warm welcome back to Paul Osterholm. Finally, yet not least, is Molly Ann Lightfoot Walters, double lung recipient. Molly Ann was born with cystic fibrosis in 1981. She struggled with breathing and GI issues her whole life. In May of 2019, she underwent a double lung transplant at UW Hospital based in Madison, Wisconsin. She is doing very well. Because of my donor, I was able to get married and work full-time. Molly Ann is so grateful for all the people that work together to do this new life possible. Please join me in welcoming Molly Ann back to campus. So those are the introductions. Miranda, would you like to kick off your insights and share your commentary as you see fit?
Sure thing. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for coming today.
You know, this thing has been killing me the whole day. Yes, there you are.
No, it's okay.
Okay.
Thank you guys all so much for coming today. So kind of a few things we want to touch on today is our different organ donation stories, how we're advocates, and then organ donation in the workplace and how that has affected us. And a lot of workplaces these days are trying to encourage signing up to be a registered organ donor for later in life after you pass on. And then a lot are being wonderful advocates of living organ donation and working with people who are kind of crazy thinking about giving organs to people while they're still living. So as Jim had shared, I'm a proud Marian alum. I graduated here just a couple years ago. And then I've been working back here at Marian for about 11 and a half years. And in 2019, which was, I believe, our last academic symposium because of COVID, I knew Paul and then our friend Tracy over here had donated directly to people that they had known. So I knew a little bit about living organ donation, but coming to the academic symposium that year, I attended that Share Your Spare panel, and something just inside me that day kind of sparked, and I was like, hey, I want to see if I can do this. That seems pretty life-changing both for the donor and the recipient. UW Health, who's back at that table right there with information, they were also there that day. So I decided, why not reach out, see if I can get the ball rolling, see if this is something that I can do. Again, I was working here at Marian. Everybody was so supportive. with time off, with testing, with going through everything. So I can't thank Marian enough for being a huge part of my living organ donation journey. At the time, I didn't know anybody in my life who needed a kidney, so I just thought, let me give it to a stranger. Let me see whose life I can affect out there. So I went through all of my initial testing, got approved, and because I was donating to a stranger, I was just waiting for a match offer. Once I was put into the system, they said it could take days, weeks, months. You never really know how long it's going to take to get matched. 24 hours later, I was given my match offer, which was amazing. The only information I had to go off of to make my decision was my person was between 30 and 40. They were somebody very hard to match with, and they were in Massachusetts. So I was like, all right, we're gonna send Betty the Bean, my kidney I donated, to Massachusetts. So November of 2019 is when I donated, and it's just so crazy that this now has come completely full circle, that I had sat out in the audience, just like all of you listening, and I'm on the panel being able to share my story. I never get through this stuff without getting emotional. And then donating to a stranger, you always have to take the chance. You may never know who they are. You may never make a connection. And I had to tell my team that I was okay with that decision, even though obviously deep down I was hoping someday we would connect somehow. And lo and behold, things happened. I was able to send my recipient a letter that went along with my kidney, and he received it. And after my donation, Marian reached out and said, hey, we want to do an article about you, which was pretty cool, which then prompted the Fond du Lac Reporter to do an article about me. And all my recipient knew about me was my first name because of the letter that I sent. And Wisconsin, well, he really, really wanted to find me. So he went off of Miranda and Wisconsin and found those two different articles about me, again, thanks to, Marian and the Fond du Lac Reporter. And he found me on social media. So it was just a kind of a crazy thing that happened, but Travis is doing great. I was actually his second kidney recipient, and he had a previous heart transplant when he was like 9 years old. So he's gone through some things, but he's doing amazing. And about a year and a half after our surgeries, my husband and I flew out to meet them, he and his wife and stepkids for the first time, which was the most amazing and emotional experience could probably go through. And then this past summer, he and his wife came to Wisconsin for the first time and showed them all the local fun stuff around here. But it's just amazing how my connection with Marian and organ donation has really changed my life and opened up my eyes. And I'm always an open book for if people have questions and stuff. So that's really the piece of my story I wanted to share today.
Hi, my name is Michelle, and I'm a 1994 graduate, proud alum of Marian University, quite a while ago. My son, Eric, didn't know that. In 2017, he'd be coming here as well, and that Marian University would have made a big impact in the transplant search for my son. He also graduated with a bachelor's of business. The search took about 18 months. December 1st, he was diagnosed with end-stage kidney failure at St. Agnes Hospital. Listen, I think one of the key points in this is think about all the businesses that I'm going to be mentioning in this 18-month journey and how it affected everybody and the end result. So on December 1st, he went to St. Agnes Hospital, peak of COVID, called me up from the emergency room and said, Mom, I'm being admitted and you can't come. He's my only son. Spent a week in the hospital, did a biopsy. John Hopkins received his biopsy for his kidney, and he was diagnosed and then told that he would have to go on dialysis. So on December 10th, we went to Freighter. He was evaluated for transplant. He received his port for dialysis. So from December 1st to December 10th, his whole life changed. Many tests, constant, reevaluation of foods and nutrition and things like that. I don't know if any of you have met him, he's 6'6", so he eats a lot. And to be told that you can't eat salt and no fast food and 4 ounces of meat is a pretty big change for him. Changed his life forever. IgA nephropathy is the disease he was diagnosed with. 1 in 100,000 people are affected by that disease. It's an immune disease. White males 18 to 25 usually go to end-stage kidney failure very quickly. SSM Health and Waupun Dialysis Center. Michelle, the captain, became a really good friend and took care of Eric, and her team were fabulous. When he was ready to graduate from Marian, they held a party, they put together a cake and balloons, and did a really nice thing for us. It was very difficult for him to be in that dialysis center at that young age, 21. Frederick interviewed him for transplant. He was January, I think it was 15th, he was placed on the transplant list. They said that I couldn't donate because it could be a genetic disease. So he's listed live, and the journey was on. This is really hard to reiterate. So for 18 months, December 1st to June 1st, as mentioned, that his transplant took place this last June, all the businesses that helped. So I'm a commercial lender, I work for a bank, I've been in banking for 25 years. My bank gave me the time off to take care of my son, get him to appointments, donate funds for his fundraiser, just rally around everything. Special event for him. Marian, the number one. Eric wouldn't have graduated without Marian University's support. Kate Candy stepped up, did a newsletter the month that we had the event at Thelma. The flag was raised in the library. Professors, when you've lost a lot of your, focus on life from being so sick, your studies fail. And as a mother, they don't call you anymore, right? You guys are 18. There is nobody calling. I thought if Eric wasn't in school, they'd be calling looking for me, but they didn't. He came home, and like I said, the professors here were astounding. They worked with him. His final semester, I said, January, don't enroll, get through dialysis, let's find you a kidney, you can go back. He said no. 17 credits from the prior year, an extension for 12 weeks, and a full caseload, dialysis and working part-time, and he crossed the stage on May of 22. So pretty proud mom. Again, Kate Candy, professors at Marian. Group sitting here today. I was introduced to all these people because of Eric's diagnosis, and Paul integrated me into a lot of other organizations I follow and I am part of. Good Carter Radio, we were on community comment, helped get the awareness out for kidney disease and donation. Frederick, UW, without UW, Eric might not be here today. Dialysis is hard. SSM, the Dialysis Center, National Kidney Donation Organization, Ned Brooks, huge. A lot of explanation into the process, how to get it done. Talked about the paired exchange as what we ended up going with. The Oregon Trail, Mark Scotch, if you haven't followed that, the Oregon Trail, NORA, National Organ Recovery Transplant Alliance. 99 won the mix. That's a radio station out of Milwaukee. Elizabeth Kay is a kidney donor herself to her mother-in-law, and she had a spot on the radio the day Eric was in the F-Rater having his peritoneal dialysis port put in, and had 7 callers call into her show to call Freighter to see if they would be qualified to donate. I was told at Freighter that I couldn't donate because of the genetic factor, and I looked at Dr. Zimmerman at Freighter and I asked him, what do you want me to do? He said, put up a billboard. I put up 10. Comes to find out that there was a connection between Clear Channel Outdoors and Elizabeth Kay, and the call was made to me within 30 minutes after speaking with Elizabeth Kay to get 10 billboards put up around the state of Wisconsin. Channel 12 got involved. Kristen Pierce, she ran the story. Eric's donor, Christy Russell, who's from Oconomowoc, saw the story, and she donated her kidney in February of 2023, and that put Eric at the top of the list, and he was transplanted on June 1st. I'm sad she's not here today. I thought maybe she would be here. So the fundraiser, Molly did a fundraiser for Eric. They sold t-shirts. $15,000 were raised, and over 50 businesses were involved in helping us raise those funds and build awareness. Help Hope Love held the funds for us. It didn't help. So it didn't cause Eric any issues. So he's doing good.
I'm Nicole. I don't have any notes. I'm just gonna kind of wing it. I always say, I don't know if I can do these speeches anymore because I'm trying to forget, because me as a recipient, I have different stories because I lived it. Now I'm gonna start crying because you're so grateful for donors. You have no idea. For one, it's just a scary thing. So mine happened 5 years ago, a little over 5 years. And I was just feeling really sick for a good month. And it took me 4 visits to the emergency room to figure out what I had. So first they would say, the flu epidemic was going around. So it was December 20th. I can remember it almost to the day. And I got diagnosed January 22nd. So that whole month, I got to a point I was going to work, but I was puking. I was puking 10 times a day, I bet, and this is disgusting, but I'd be like, I'm not even going to the toilet anymore, I'm gonna just go into my sink at home, or I get into work and I'm like, well, I'm just puking in my scarf, and nobody just understood. But a lot of it was, I like kind of flipping houses and doing that kind of stuff, and my legs were swollen, so this was the big thing after the fact that I'm like, really? You did, that was one of the key symptoms of kidney failure. But I go to the doctor, and after the 3rd visit, he's like, well, tell me what you're doing in the last 6 months. So I was like, well, I'm working full time and I go home and I do this. And he's like, well, maybe the stress. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. I like doing that stuff. It's not stressful to me. He's like, well, you're not getting any younger. So go to Walgreens, get some compression socks, and put those on and elevate at night, and it did help. I give them that, it did help. But I kept saying, and everybody asked, like, nothing tasted right. It didn't taste like metal. Everybody's question is that, but it's just, I was off. I just felt like something's wrong. So the 3rd visit to the ER, he said, well, now the stomach flu's going on. Here's some meds, take them, blah, blah, blah. So I remember it was, that was a Wednesday night, and I went into the ER in Waupun, the hospital, and after telling me the stomach flu, so that was a Wednesday, so the same ER doctor was there on a Sunday. I woke up, and my boyfriend at the time, I took a sip of coffee, and I threw up again, and he's like, why don't you just go in and ask this time for blood work? Why that never dawned on me before. I'm thinking, well, these doctors know, you know. I actually had to ask for blood work, and I preached that to everyone. You know your own body, so if you're feeling off, I mean, you're the only one that knows, and you're the only one that can speak about it, and thank God I did. So I basically went in on Sunday, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm glad you're here again. Remember me? Something's going on. Can you please do blood work? And then I was looking at the IV, because I'm like, can I get hooked to that? Because I'm so hungry. Yeah, so he's like, actually, you can stay in here in an hour. If you want to just hang out here, we'll have lab results. That day changed my life. He came in, and it's that I remember. He pulled up a chair and he was like, I got some bad news. And he's like, I already called a nephrologist from Oshkosh. I didn't even know what a nephrologist was. We've already called Madison. We've called Milwaukee. We're thinking Fond du Lac, but because flu epidemic was going on, we're not sure we're gonna put you. But just hearing that, and he's like, we're gonna put the port in tomorrow for dialysis. I'm like, what? Like, what just happened? And he's like, your kidneys are functioning at 3%. We're actually surprised you're alive. You would have went into cardiac arrest in a couple of days. So whatever made you come in, see, we all get emotional. So my story is just, it's the scary part, and like he said earlier, I have 7 sisters, and that was the only time I actually cried, was when none of them could be a donor. And then I remember in Madison when they were doing the, which waited, what was it, 4 or 5 months before you could even talk to somebody in Madison about how the process goes. And it was pretty much, what the hell am I gonna do now? You gotta ask for an organ? I don't even ask for butter. And she's like, we'll go to a game or a brewer game and get it out there, wear a t-shirt that you need a donor. So my sisters and my mom said, what about Facebook? And this is crazy too with, oh, I'm sorry. This is crazy too with everybody being, I didn't go to Marian, but the M and the saber, I designed that logo way back. And I met Paul, so Paul's a past client of mine. When the coffee shop first opened, I did that logo, so I worked with him. So then go almost how many years, 15 years later, his wife sees the Facebook ad post on that I needed a kidney, so that's how we kind of all like tie in with this. I'm sure I'm forgetting a lot of stuff and people can ask questions later. So.
Good afternoon, and thank you all very much for coming here today. My name is Paul. Through the grace of God, in Marian University workplace, I was blessed to meet Nicole. Not only did Nicole do the M in the saber, she also did the Common Grounds Coffee House sign, which summer of 2022, I met Nicole. Fast forward, Memorial Day 2018, Facebook pops up, Nicole is in dire need of a kidney. My wife hollers, honey, Nicole needs the same blood type, and I thought we were donating to her fundraiser. I had no clue. So I called Nicole the next day and I said, Nicole, here we have the same blood type. I asked her coordinator, she got me in touch with a person in Madison. I started the meeting with Lisa. It was a phone interview, 2 to 3 hours. They asked all sorts of questions. So then I was put on a list in June. I find out later I'm number 29 on the list. 28 others had come forward to Madison to be tested. None of them matched. On August 6th, I received a phone call.
Yeah.
Excuse me. That changed our lives. I take sunset pictures, and within the sunset, you can see, my wife pointed out, an angel kneeling. And I knew then everything was going to be okay. I called Nicole, well, I called my wife, right? So I called my wife, I said, great news, I just received word from UW-Madison, I'm a match for Nicole. She said, great, whatever you do, don't call Nicole. So I called Nicole. I said, Nicole, what are you doing? This is late at night, right after work, and she's driving home. I said, can you pull over? I didn't even wait for an answer. I just said, we're a match.
Like, I didn't pull over yet.
We're both excited. So this is August, and now they invite me down to Madison. And it's a 10-hour day. First part of the morning, if you make it through the morning, they ask, and they do blood work, they do all sorts of different tests. And then in the afternoon, they do the most expensive tests, the x-rays, the CAT scans, et cetera, et cetera. My wife and I were separated in rooms to ask certain questions about our financial stability. Am I selling a kidney? A good, healthy kidney on the market is $20,000 to $30,000. The need of a kidney is at an all-time high. And then they do the psychology evaluation. I passed that. True story, Dr. Gray. And they come back to me and said, okay, you can pick a date. Now, because the workplace in Marian and the workplace that I was working at We didn't hesitate. We were planning, my wife and I were setting away funds, workman's comp, disability, taking some time off. So I was given some dates. You only perform surgeries on Wednesdays or Fridays. And I said, well, great. Let's pick Wednesday in October 10th. It was available. Wednesday, so I could be out of the hospital by Thursday or Friday, so I could be at home, true story, watching Iowa Hawkeye football playing in the air at homecoming. Thank you. Thank you very much. And here we find out that this was Nicole's dad's birthday that passed away, October 10th. Her dad gave her a briefcase for her business, and the combination to the briefcase was 1010. A nurse at the hospital pointed out if you kept seeing 1010, it's a biblical message of angels in your life. I became an associate of the sisters many years ago with Cape Candy. And Sister Judith was a mentor, and she said, you need to slow down and listen. You need to listen to the whisper. That's one of the chapters in our books that was printed. The chapter is called God's Whisper. And I knew at that time things were going to be okay. Faith, hope, and love, the core values of Marian, resonated throughout our journey, my journey. And it was such a life-changing experience. We've celebrated 6 Christmases together. We've celebrated weddings, funerals. We've celebrated baptisms. Nicole is part of our family because of organ donation. None of this would have been possible without a workplace connection that Nicole and I formed through the Common Grounds Coffee House in Marian. I'm indebted so much to Marian. Love Marian. People here, the sisters, the core values. If you ever have an opportunity, listen to God's whisper. You don't need your organs in heaven. Don't take them there, leave them here on earth. So thank you all very much. And there's so many people in this room that another person that should be recognized is Sarah Rasner, who was a former student here as well. She works for Holy Family now. She worked for the Reporter. She did our stories. And we invited her, Nicole and I invited her on our journey. And she was with our families from the very beginning to the very end. And her story went from the Reporter to the AP to UPI because of Facebook and the Marian alums. It went to Canada, Africa, South America. It just kept sharing and sharing, bringing awareness that all of us have an opportunity to listen to God's whisper. Thank you very much.
Hello, so my name is Molly Lickfist. I came here to Marian 24 years ago as a freshman, and I did not know how much the people at Marian were going to make an impact in my life. And the number one person is now my stepdad, so that is Dr. David Schimpf right there, the red dad. I got my degree in psychology, but he was a theology professor, and he made me so inspired to be interested in going into Christian counseling. So I ended up taking almost 60 credits in theology with him, through hospitalizations, through IVs, through everything. He did independent study with me. And then as I neared the transplant journey, and he was my stepdad, he went to every appointment with me, was there for every hospitalization with my mom, and just a huge, huge impact in my life that I never once thought when I enrolled at Marian College that the kind of impact that a professor would make in my life. So thank you, Doc. So my journey goes back to childhood. I was diagnosed at 9 months old. Cystic fibrosis is actually a genetic disease, but in 1981 they did not test children's babies at birth for it. So I was very sick. I was failure to thrive. At 9 months old, my mom had taken me to tons of different doctors, and they always just told my mom there's nothing wrong with her, she's fine. I was just small, but I would throw up all my food, and I wasn't gaining any weight. So finally at 9 months old, my mom took me to Children's Hospital Milwaukee. I got diagnosed by Dr. Bruns with cystic fibrosis. The life expectancy then, he told my mom, was 5 years old, so don't plan a future for me. My mom did not treat me any different than my siblings. I was the second child. She didn't treat me any different. CF didn't define me. At every doctor's appointment, my parents were told the same thing, don't plan a future. But my mom was not about to plan a funeral. She was planning a future. So I watched her cry a lot of tears as a little kid. But I knew that she was always doing the best for me, and I'm so thankful for that. As an adult, my doctors told my parents, again, don't bother sending her to college, don't plan a future because she's not gonna live that long. Well, my mom wasn't gonna, she was a wide-eyed optimist and she still is. So off to Marian I went, I got my bachelor's here in theology and psychology, and then I came back and got my master's in at-risk education. And again, all the college staff here was so willing to work with me through independent study, through all my hospitalizations, just so caring and loving to me that I would not have made it through both degrees without the support. Let's see, exercise has always been my medicine. As a little kid, my mom took us out hiking, biking, swimming, everything that kept my lungs healthy, and I'm so thankful for that. Then in 2012, I had my first transplant eval. I thought I was gonna have an emergency lung transplant. I was in my PhD program out in California, and I had to have one of my best friends take me to Cottage Hospital there because I literally could not walk. I had such bad back pain, and it turned out I had pneumonia in both of my lungs. So my labs came up really bad there, so they called all over the US to see if I could get a double lung transplant then. They thought I had a bacteria in my lungs called Burkholderia cepacia. With that, you're not eligible for transplant. They did find Duke University who would take me. They redid the labs before I was sent out there from California, and my labs came back clean. It was something else. So that was just a total blessing to me, because sitting in the hospital in California, I was so worried that I was never gonna get to say goodbye to my 5 little nieces and nephews. So that was really hard. So then I got through that and went another 5 years with my biological lungs. And then in 2017, my lungs were down to 25%. I was on oxygen full-time, BiPAP at night, just horrible quality of life. And I was not ready for transplant. So even though my doctors wanted to list me, I was in such denial that I could exercise my way back to getting my lungs back to like 60%. And I couldn't. So I did an eval then. I flew back to California. My doctor out there did another eval. He had a better outlook. He said, you have at least 3 years left with your God-given lungs. So then in 2019, I got rhinovirus. I was in the hospital 3 weeks on 35 liters of high-flow oxygen. I could not breathe without BiPAP. So my quality of life was horrible. And I could not get listed for transplant because of the rhinovirus. After 3 weeks, I said all my goodbyes. My doctor said, your family needs to come say their goodbyes. My sisters came down. I put on my white flag. I was surrendering to God that if this was His will, I was going to accept it. That night when I was praying in the hospital, I was alone. And I felt a hand on my back, and I thought it was a nurse that had come into my room, and I just didn't hear the door. So I turned around to talk to her or look at her, and there was nobody there. So I felt that was the hand of God on my back, just to trust Him and surrender, and I did. So I went to bed that night thinking and knowing in my heart that I was never going to wake up again. The next morning I woke up, I could not believe it, I still can't believe it. It was the most beautiful sunrise I'd ever seen. My team of transplant doctors came in at 6 a.m. for the rounds, and they said, your labs are clean of rhinovirus. We're listing you for transplant today. I could not believe it. It was a total miracle. So I got listed. I got my first call 2 days later on Mother's Day. They were high-risk lungs, so I did not take them. I got my second call on May 28th. I had 15 minutes to decide. My transplant team said, all we can tell you is a very young teenager and that these lungs are absolutely perfect for you. I was so scared. I went into it paralyzed with fear. Riding down to Madison, that hour and a half, I was just so worried because, I could go into transplant and not come out. But I went and I got to say goodbye to all my nieces and nephews and my sisters and my family. What I was the most surprised about my transplant was only 4 hours and 45 minutes. It was very quick. Let's see. Since then, my lungs are at almost 100% today. I'm coming up on 5 years. On May 28th, I make health my #1 priority. I'm so thankful for my donor. Today, I'm a realtor. I have my broker's license. I run a team called Marian Company, and we are all about giving back to our community, doing fundraisers to help people. Because when I was on my deathbed praying that night, I said, dear Lord, if you get me through this and give me this miracle, I will praise your name everywhere I go and do everything to give back to my community and to spread awareness and just help people. Because it took a village to get me to be here today. I am still in complete awe of how many people it took. My precious donor, my transplant team, my 2 surgeons, one flew out to the East Coast to get my lungs. It took so many people to get me here, and I'm so thankful and still just in awe of all of it. It just doesn't even seem real still. But my plea to you guys today is to really encourage you all to donate, to be an organ donor, and if that is too scary for you, give blood. Because after my transplant, I needed a transfusion. I was great. My mom has pictures of me after transplant that, she told my transplant team something is wrong with her. She's great. And I needed a blood transfusion. So I have a rare blood type. I'm B positive. So I could have went through the double lung transplant and then passed away if a blood donor hadn't also saved my life. So yeah, I also wanted to say that 5,600 people died in 2022 waiting for a lung transplant because we need to spread more awareness. So events like this, if you guys just talk to 3 or 4 people and tell them, hey, you guys can register to be an organ donor or register to donate blood, you will not realize the ripple effect that has and the impact it can make. So even if I save one person's life by somebody here deciding to be a blood donor, then I feel like my work is done. So I'm just grateful to be here every day. I'm grateful to God, my donor, my transplant team, my Donate Life and transplant family. I've just been so incredibly blessed, and I'm grateful to be here. And again, huge thanks to Dr. David Schimpf for having such an impact on my life that I never knew walking through the doors of Marian 24 years ago. And this guy too right here, Paul, every morning I'd stop at the coffee house on the way to classes, and he's always a smile and a blessing every day. And so I'm just thankful for everyone. So thank you all.
As we approach the conclusion of this session, I'd like to share a few thoughts. First, for everybody who's here this afternoon in the audience, thank you for your time. You didn't have to be here. You wanted to be here. So one of the hallmarks of Marian University is we try to express, even though we fall short at times, to extend our thanks and gratefulness. So first, many thanks to everybody here this afternoon. Equally, an expression of gratitude to all of our panelists. What I heard today was heartfelt. It was an expression of Marian's core values, living the mission, as well as that of the vision. And each and every member of the panel is an inspiration to everybody here in the room. So thank you to our panel for what you have done and what you continue to do. As we conclude, yes, sister?
Hi, I just want to say something.
Go ahead.
Okay. I'm waiting for a donor. And I want to say it's amazing that I actually am here today. And listening to your stories are so helpful because it does happen. And so I'm just still on that long waiting list. And if anybody wants to donate a kidney or is interested in it at all, call the freighter. Don't know what even to tell you to call, so, call Freighter, the kidney center, if you're interested in even being tested, because I need a match. And I wanted to just stand up and say that and say thank you all, especially for your heartwarming stories and the fact that it does happen. So thank you, and thank you for letting me interrupt.
Thank you, sister. And, you know, the Lord truly works in mysterious ways, because as I was searching for an appropriate conclusion to this particular discussion, I was searching for divine inspiration. And I often visit the website of the Congregation of the Sisters of St. Agnes. It's a complete treasure trove. And what we have listened to today, I like to share a prayer to conclude. The prayer is found on the website. It's entitled Prayer for the Gifts of the Holy Spirit. And I'll share it with you in its entirety. Blessed Spirit of wisdom, help us to seek you as the center of our lives, so that we may live in love and harmony with you and with all people. Blessed Spirit of understanding, enlighten our minds so that we may know and love others, especially those of different cultures, beliefs, and economic situations. Blessed the Spirit of counsel, guide us in all ways so that we may be open to your holy will and follow you in our decisions. Blessed Spirit of fortitude, strengthen our souls in every time of trouble or adversity. Make us confident and courageous in promoting justice and peace. Blessed Spirit of knowledge, help us to know good from evil. Give us clear vision and a global perspective. Teach us to do what is right in your sight. Blessed Spirit of piety, possess our hearts, incline them to a closer relationship with you, so that with our whole person we may see you, our deepest joy. Blessed Spirit of holy fear, give us a sense of awe and reverence, so that we may be mindful of your presence and of your divine image in every person. Come to us, Holy Spirit of Jesus, give us your holy gifts. Amen. Thank you, everybody. Our program is now concluded. All are welcome to stay to engage in continued and ongoing fellowship. And just one reminder, and I'm looking at Sister Donna Ennis looking at me. Please, oh please, fill out those evaluation forms so I do not incur the wrath of one Sister Donna Ennis. So thank you for coming. Enjoy the remainder of your day, and we hope for better tomorrows. God bless.
We do have some time for questions from the panel. If anyone would like to ask a question from any one of us, please raise your hand.
All right.
Yes, please.
So what do you do to see if you can be tested? What was the question?
What should they do to be tested? This is Tracy Cook from UW Health Madison, OTD. Tracy's bringing you some information. That's a great question. Congratulations, you also received a t-shirt. Tracy, can we get a t-shirt?
Yes, absolutely.
Women to women can share your size, I won't ask.
Can you share it though, like vocally for everybody to hear, kind of even in a nutshell, what do you have to do if you're?
Yes, Tracy, do you have a second, please? There's another great question. This is Diane from Campus Ministry.
Could you just respond to her question, just sort of like in a nutshell?
Yeah, absolutely. So in order to be tested for living donation, and I do encourage this because the wait list is long, and most of us are not going to die in a way that we will be able to be deceased donors. We have to be in a hospital setting, on a mechanical ventilator, generally with a severe neuro injury from a trauma, a stroke, an overdose, cardiac arrest that caused brain damage, whatever it is. So if we just don't wake up in the morning, or we die at the scene of an accident and our heart stops beating, we're no longer an organ donor candidate. And that's because there's no longer oxygenated blood perfusing to those organs. You know, our vessels start to clot off. And so we can still be a tissue and eye donor candidate. You know, the vessels and the tendons and the bone and the skin, those gifts are still viable, but not solid organ donation unless we die the right way. Only about 3% of us are gonna die the right way that we're a candidate. So that's why the wait list is so great, not because we're all jerks, but because we have to die the right way. So in order to circumvent that, and you know, I know most of us in this room want to be a donor and have that orange dot on our license, but might not be a candidate, we can step forward now and be a living donor through living kidney donation, a partial liver donation. Some programs do partial lung. So you just need to contact your area transplant center, Freighter, UW, Mayo. All of them have online portals to send your information. So, you know, I have a few flyers in the back with the UW program, but all of us have those online portals just to put your name in with your blood type and your information, and they will reach back out to you. So that's what I would advise.
Sister?
I'm too old to give an organ, check that out. Thank you. I try. I give platelets regularly, and I don't know if people know about giving platelets. It's not like giving an organ, I guess that. But when I go, it takes a couple hours. I can take a book, I can read, I can pray, I can you see people there with their phones and watching movies or whatever they're doing. So it's kind of a quiet time, but there are times in the year that they're really begging people to give platelets because they're needed at cancer centers and when people have surgery or whatever. I don't totally know what all they use it for. But I know there are flu epidemics and different things. They're calling and saying, could you come, like you could do it every week, you could do it really.
Every other week.
Like every other week they really run it, but they were begging me to one year. I said, I just leave it a week. I mean, you know, you have to take care of your own body too. But I just want to put platelets on the table because I don't think we do about that.
You're right, and I think they say up to 24 times a year for platelets. So they may say that you can do it every other, but the timing on an annual basis, they say up to 24 times.
Put time between.
Yeah, regenerate, refuel.
When they're calling me really fast, I'm knowing that they really have a problem.
Yeah.
So that's why I need it up there.
Yeah, thank you. Yes.
If you're like through the UW system, can you only match with the UW organ? It goes all over.
So a living donation opportunity, they'll work together, you know, so ideally, I think, for simplicity, if you're able to do the paperwork through the same center that you know your living recipient would be listed at, that's probably easiest. But it's not necessary, you know, because the altruistic kidney went from here to Massachusetts.
Yep.
So it wouldn't need to be all coordinated through the same center.
Okay.
Yeah.
My kidney flew on a plane all by itself from Madison to Boston. Without me.
Can you share, can you explain the parent exchange program? A little bit?
I can try.
Well, the only thing I think about that is that's what happened with Eric. So Eric's donor, lived in Oconomowoc, but she was not a direct match. And because of that, the paired exchange program allowed her to still donate. Her kidney was flown to Arizona, and Eric was pushed up on the registry, and his kidney came from 2 hours away. We still don't know who the donor was, but was a better match for them.
Yep. So
So don't think that if you don't match somebody that it's,
essentially, when you put in, it creates a voucher opportunity. And it can either be a voucher for somebody you know, and you can assign that to Sister Claire. Or it can be an altruistic gift where you don't have anybody that needs it right now, and you can assign it to maybe your immediate family just in case they might need it down the line. So that voucher program works for people known or people unknown.
If I may, we have an alum's parents in the back. If you could please stand, Amanda Dirk's parents are in the audience. And he is listed at Freighter for a kidney. Amanda, Chris. Thank you. Any other questions? Yes?
Is it true that just by having the orange dot on your license, you're not yet fully registered? You have to actually go another step and register on the website with the DMV? Is that something people need to know?
It used to be the case.
Okay.
Because we started our registry in 2010, and it was not law before that. So if you had the orange donor dot on there up until 2010, it wasn't. It was intent only, and your family had to actually give permission on your behalf. But now that we've gone through the renewal cycle, every 8 years we renew our license. Once you renew since the registry started, that's your active legal decision now to be a registered donor, so that if you are in a position, one of those 3% that is in a hospital on the ventilator and not doing well, and it's an end-of-life situation, then you have given your consent to donate if you're indeed a candidate. So that orange donor dot is legal consent now. It didn't start out that way. Good question.
And if I may, I'd like to introduce another donor, Tracy, Marian. Tracy will introduce herself, but she has a very important story too to share.
Okay, Paul always puts people on the spot, doesn't he? I guess one experience that I would really stress to anyone considering a donation is, I kind of quietly went through the process. I thought, I felt a call, like, maybe I could do this. So I'll just take one step and do that online form. And the next thing I know, I got a phone call and they're saying, come on down to Madison and take some tests. And things just kind of started happening. And I wasn't completely sure where it was going, but I knew I was on a journey, and of course I told my husband about it, but I didn't know it was going to happen for sure. So I didn't really talk to my kids about it, or my parents really even, until almost till the time where I was going to actually go in and have the surgery. So my story and my lesson is the importance of really talking to your family, educating them. Come to find out, my kids were scared to death and I didn't know it. They didn't want to tell me they didn't want me to do this, who tells their mom what to do. But they were scared to death, and they had, different ideas and myths and misperceptions about, what was going to happen to me. And that was scary for them. While I was confident, and don't worry, I neglected my family, my parents and my kiddos, who really needed to be on this full journey with me to be educated and understand what was happening every step of the way. So I encourage you to find your people and do the same. Thanks.
If you asked a question, please see Tracy in the back for a t-shirt. Thank you. Anything else? Any other questions? Your time is valuable.
These t-shirts are clean, I don't need to do any laundry, so for the college kids, that's a plus.
And they're really cool too.
Yes,
What about like family history, does that play into your donation?
but the question is, what about family history? Does it play into the donation process? Who wants to handle that one? Okay, Miranda.
So when you kind of begin your screening process, you'll have that initial phone call where they'll ask, about your history, a little bit of family history to see if there's anything they need to move out right away. Can you hear me? Otherwise, if you get to the point where you get down for your full day of testing, they're so thorough. It is the most thorough exam that you will ever have, both physically, psychologically. They'll look into family history. So they're looking into absolutely everything about you, your past, your family. Because what they want to do is make sure that you are healthy enough to donate. They are really, really looking at the donor to make sure that you're going to be healthy enough to donate. You're going to be healthy enough with one kidney for the remainder of your life. And how it's going to impact you and how your kidney's going to work in somebody else. So it's a full day. They really look into a lot of stuff, and you learn a lot about yourself that day for sure too. So, but yeah, they look into you and your family history.
Yes.
Are there any long-term effects for the donors who give with missing that piece of yourself?
Well, they tell me to not scuba dive or skydive. Yeah. So otherwise, no. They do check you 6 months, a year to 2 years out. My personal physician here in town, he checks me yearly, my yearly exam. They do the blood work, they do the other tests for the year and et cetera. So yes, it's, when I come in, they know I'm coming in. And they treat me very well, as all healthcare providers. Yes, Teresa.
I would just say the only change in my life is that I can no longer take NSAIDs and ibuprofen. I'm a Tylenol girl now. That is the only change in my whole life.
Yes. Thank you.
Who is this lady? That's Dottie! So she represents the Orange Donor Dot in Wisconsin that we have on our license, and so she makes the occasional appearance and gets her, skirt out and gets all fancy. So thanks for coming today, Dottie.
Special thanks to Melissa in the back for nursing, the student nurses that are here volunteering, we really appreciate it. And for campus ministry, Diane, all the campus ministry students who painted rocks. On your way out, you may help yourself to a painted rock as well. They're right there at the table, right there. Yes.
I hope, good news for Holly. Holly, we have Molly. We have cystic fibrosis in our family, and you're right, it's inherited. I have a cousin who 50-some years ago, like maybe 55 years ago, was diagnosed, he was little, diagnosed with cystic fibrosis. Almost 30 years ago, he had a double lung transplant. He's 68 and doing fine.
That is amazing.
That's it. Thank you very much.
Don't forget your t-shirt.